In Germany, there are plans to create special funds to finance defense and infrastructure projects worth hundreds of billions of euros. This was announced by the leader of Christian Democratic Union and Christian Social Union Party, Friedrich Merz, who is also a candidate for the position of Chancellor of Germany. This is a joint decision of the Conservatives and Social Democrats. Well, more details will be shared by Alexander Zaslavets and Christina Dombrovska.
Ukraine highly appreciates Germany's efforts to restore European security, said President Volodymyr Zelensky following a phone call with Friedrich Merz, leader of the Christian Democratic Union and Christian Social Union Party and candidate for the position of Chancellor of Germany. This was their first conversation after the conservative bloc's victory in the Bundestag elections. However, President Zelensky had previously met with Merz after the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine. Friedrich Merz visited Kiev twice.
We coordinated our positions. Ukraine highly values Germany's efforts to restore European security and protect lives in our country. We remember that Germany is the leader in supplying air defense systems to Ukraine and plays a crucial role in ensuring our financial stability. Agreed with Friedrich Merz on further cooperation and contacts, Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, on X social network.
The Christian Democratic Union and Christian Social Union Party of Friedrich Merz and the Social Democratic Party of Germany have agreed on a major credit package to finance defense and infrastructure. Merz announced the creation of a special fund worth 500 billion euros, describing it as an unprecedented investment. He emphasized that Europe and Germany must make significant efforts to strengthen defense capabilities.
The necessary decisions regarding the federal budget cannot be postponed. Therefore, next week, the parliamentary groups of the CDU, CSU, and SPD will submit a motion to the Bundestag to amend the basic law, allowing for defense spending beyond 1% of gross domestic product to be exempt from the debt brake. We aim to set up a credit-financed emergency program, a special fund of 500 billion euros for the next 10 years.
As reported by Spiegel, this is the first major breakthrough among political forces ahead of coalition negotiations. Minister of Defense of Germany Boris Pistorius called the decision a historic day for the Bundeswehr and for Germany. He believes these measures will not only modernize the army, but also strengthen the country's economy.
We are strengthening the economy and ensuring that the states also have more leeway in their tasks. We are sending a strong signal to the people in our country and to our allies. A corresponding resolution by the Bundestag would enable Germany and others to take on a leading role in strengthening NATO in Europe. Boris Pistorius, Minister of Defense of Germany, in an interview with Spiegel.
On March 5th, the Minister of Defense of Germany announced that arms transfers to Ukraine had reached their limits. At the same time, spokesman for the Federal Ministry of Defense, Michael Stempfler, emphasized that military support for Ukraine and strengthening Germany's defense capabilities must be addressed simultaneously. Berlin plans to unlock over 3 billion euros to support Ukraine. This aid had been planned for 2024 but was postponed. According to Friedrich Merz, he is in talks with ongoing Chancellor Olaf Scholz to resolve the issue of additional military aid to Kiev soon.
Olaf Scholz's cautious policy has led to Germany fading into the background, even though Germany's military aid to Ukraine ranks second after the United States. Merz's task is to truly enhance Germany's reputation within the European Union and in foreign policy.
Minister for Foreign Affairs of Germany, Annalena Baerbock, also demands the immediate unlocking of further aid for Ukraine. Moreover, she believes that at an emergency summit, EU partners should agree on a comprehensive financial package for Ukraine, and the European Council should make a decision on large-scale investments in EU defense. Reported by Alexander Zaslavets, Christina Dombrovska, UATV News.
In the past 7 days, 16 civilians have been killed in Konstantinovka, Donetsk region, by Russian bombings. Local authorities are urging people not to enter the city unless absolutely necessary and are advising residents still in Konstantinovka to consider evacuation. More details about the situation right in the city will be provided in a report from our filming crew.
For
several days now, there have been new restrictions on entering to the frontline city of Konstantinovka. People with local registration, as well as evacuation groups, food suppliers, and humanitarian aid providers can enter without restrictions, as Konstantinovka has become one of the most dangerous cities in the Donetsk region. Over the past 7 days, according to the National Police of Donetsk region, 16 civilians have died in the city from Russian shelling and almost 40 people have been injured. As a result, the decision was made to increase the number of evacuation crews from the White Angel police units and paramedics. They are the first to arrive at the scenes of shelling to help the people.
Every day, Russian forces carry out mass strikes on Kostiantynivka. Russian occupation forces drop up to 20 bombs on the population of our community.
Local residents can be seen in the streets of the city only after the curfew ends. From 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. people can move freely around the city and shops are open during this time. Valentina, a shop owner, has a bomb crater near her workplace. She understands how dangerous it is in the city now, but she doesn't want to stay at home either.
How do you go out every day? I go out. What else can I do? I'm all alone. What should I do? Stay home all day? Well, I'm planning to leave.
This area is one of the most sheltered parts of the city. Recently, 6 people died here from a Russian bomb. Allah, a native of temporarily occupied Horlivka, who witnessed the tragedy, hasn't slept for a week. She's scared and wants to leave.
There is our Kristiansky market, where people were buying vegetables, and this happened after 11. Just this week, they bombed our district. The Market Cosmos area was bombed. I was walking to the Social Protection Office, and there wasn't a single house left intact. What is that?
The residents of Konstantinivka are leaving the city in large numbers. In the past months, around 2,000 people have been evacuated. Most of those who remain are pensioners and people living alone.
Where can I go? Where should I go? I have no relatives. I am all alone. When it's quiet, it's bearable, but when the explosions start, the house shakes. It's very hard.
Despite the proximity to the front line, the hospital and all utility services are still operating in the city. Medicines are being delivered to pharmacies and humanitarian aid is being distributed to people.
The city still has electricity, partial water supply, and heating is still functioning. But we all understand that after each shelling, everything is destroyed.
Active fighting is ongoing in the nearby cities of Toretsk and Chasiv Yar. Over the past week, more than 100 strikes have been recorded, carried out by Russian forces on Konstantinivka. According to local authorities, around 13,000 civilians remained in the city, and the situation is becoming more difficult every day. Reported by Alexandra Zaslavets, Alena Hramova, Evgeny Karmazin, UATV News.
Ukraine, together with its partners, is constantly working on a plan for the first steps towards achieving a fair and sustainable peace. As announced by President Volodymyr Zelensky, the plan will be ready in the nearest future, he assured. The president emphasized that Europe has a shared vision for ending the war and ensuring security guarantees. More details about the European initiative will be provided by Alexander Zaslavets and Valeria Nyakipyalova.
The Secretary of State for Defense of the UK, John Healey, will embark on a 2-day visit to Washington. He plans to discuss assistance to Kyiv with the United States Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin and the proposals from European leaders regarding the establishment of a long-lasting and stable peace in Ukraine.
Briefing notes from the Ministry of Defense said Healey and Hegseth would discuss the plan for peace in Ukraine being worked on by the U.S., UK, France, and other mutual defense issues, including combating Islamic State in the Middle East. From The Guardian publication,
the Secretary of State for Defense of the UK reminded that the Prime Minister of UK, Keir Starmer, had made it clear that London would continue discussions with its allies. On March 3rd, the Prime Minister of the UK held a phone conversation with the US President Donald Trump. Afterward, he briefed the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, on the discussion.
We are coordinating our positions and doing everything to achieve guaranteed peace as soon as possible and bring an end to this war. Peace is needed for all of us, a just peace with clear security guarantees. Together with the leadership of the United States and all of Europe, this is absolutely achievable. Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, on X social network.
Following the London summit, the Prime Minister of UK, Keir Starmer, stated that he had agreed with leaders of Ukraine and France to prepare a joint plan to end hostilities. Finland and Norway also participate in its development. According to the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, this plan could involve a temporary cessation of air and naval strikes, including on energy infrastructure, for 1 month. The UK, as stated by its Under-Secretary of State for the Armed Forces, Luke Pollard, is exploring various options for a resolution. Both London and Paris aim to secure US support for these peace initiatives.
We must strengthen our relationship with America. For our security, for our technology, for our trade and investment. They are and always will be indispensable. And we will never choose between either side of the Atlantic.
The Prime Minister of UK Keir Starmer and President of France Emmanuel Macron could travel to the United States together with the President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky to present a European peace plan, reports the British Daily Mail. This possibility was also suggested by the spokeswoman of the government of France, Sophie Primus.
There is a possibility that Emmanuel Macron will soon visit Washington with his Ukrainian counterpart, Volodymyr Zelensky, and the Prime Minister of UK Keir Starmer. This visit could take place in the near future.
However, sources from the Elysee Palace have denied this information, stating that there are currently no plans for a new visit by Emmanuel Macron to Washington. European countries cannot support a ceasefire without security guarantees for Ukraine. The sovereignty of Ukraine and the security of Europe are at stake. This was stated by Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs Jean-Noël Barrot during a speech to Parliament. He emphasized the importance of distinguishing between a peace agreement and a capitulation agreement, which Europe will not support.
Our responsibility as Europeans and our duty to the French people is to do everything possible to help Ukraine hold the front line, because this front line is the first line of defense for Europe and France. And here, we, Europeans, face a choice that has been imposed on us: effort and freedom, or comfort and enslavement.
It is expected that the venue for discussing the future European peace plan will be an emergency summit of EU leaders in Brussels. The main topic of the meeting will be increasing funding for the EU and Ukraine's defense. European leaders plan to discuss Europe's contribution to ensuring security guarantees for Ukraine and the next steps toward ending the war and establishing lasting peace. Reported by Alexandra Zaslavets, Valeria Nikipelova, UATV News.